Chapter 1162. Yiqing Luo cleared her throat and pointed to the disheveled lady by her feet and shouted, "Fifth Miss Shangwan didn't hesitate to trade her soul with the dark forces in order to win the competition, in exchange for powerful strength. This kind of behavior is not only deceiving the academy, but also deceiving all of you who have sharp eyes. The so-called competition, the so-called open competition, is not only judged by the academy, everyone here is also a judge. After the battle in the tomb of the Ling King, I'm sure all of you have an idea of what the dark forces are like. The purpose of the dark forces is definitely to invade the Nirvana realm and rule over it." Speaking till here, Yiqing Luo intentionally paused for a moment. Sure enough, he saw the serious expressions on the onlookers' faces. Who would want their territory to be occupied by an unknown force? Who would want the so-called dark forces to invade their Nirvana realm? Even though they had been fighting openly and covertly for many years because of the division of land between the 4 continents. Even when outsiders intended to invade their territory, they would somehow unite as one. Ever since the tomb of the Ling King, all the forces in the Nirvana realm had thoroughly understood the history of the dark forces. Dark forces. The existence that was spurned by the Nirvana realm. It was a force that only knew how to use evil arts and secret arts to seek benefits. They did not hesitate to stain their hands with blood. It was said that 1,000 years ago, the dark forces wanted to use sorcery to conquer the Nirvana realm. It was the gods of the upper realm who descended to the mortal world to stop the catastrophe of the Nirvana realm. It was said that in that battle, the dark forces were prepared to kill tens of thousands of profound practitioners in the Nirvana realm and use the blood of the profound practitioners to summon the dark demonic beasts that were in deep slumber to fight to the death with the upper realm. In the end, he was stopped by the gods of the upper realm, killing 10,000 profound practitioners. The dark forces were willing to sacrifice tens of thousands of profound practitioners just to summon a magical beast. One could imagine how savage they were. How could the Nirvana realm allow such a force to invade? Shangwan Liuli, the 5th miss of the Shangwan clan, ignored the safety of the Nirvana realm for her own selfish desires, and blindly joined the dark forces. I'm very suspicious now. Is it only the 5th Miss Shangwan who is involved with the dark forces, or, the entire Shangwan family has long been, the dark forces' nest in the Nirvana realm? His words set off a huge wave. Butler Shangwan's expression changed drastically, and he trembled in exasperation. "You're slandering me. The Shangwan family was innocent, so how could they be involved with the dark forces? In order to avoid responsibility, you actually came up with such a ridiculous excuse. What are your intentions?" His repeated questioning made him appear to be speaking righteously. However, the question and his words made people unable to restrain their laughter. "Butler Shangwan, aren't your words a little unreasonable?" Third head Yuchi rubbed his round belly and said with a smile, "I'm already over 50 years old. Bullying a little girl is a disgrace to the Shangwan family." You. He hadn't expected that the Yuchi family would also take the opportunity to insult the Shangwan family. Butler Shangwan's face turned green and red. He was so angry that his whole body was trembling. The Yuchi third head continued to laugh. The unknown black gas on 5th Miss Shangwan's body, as well as the inexplicable increase in her profound level, are very telling. The onlookers nodded repeatedly. They weren't blind. How could they not see the strange black gas that flowed around Shangwan Liuli during the competition? Every time the black gas thickened, Shangwan Liuli's profound level would begin to increase. Chapter 1163. The crowd's eyes were absolutely sharp. Housekeeper Shangwan insisted on pushing the blame to student Yi. "It's a disgrace to the family." After saying that, third head Yuchi sighed lightly and shook his head helplessly. He seemed to be disappointed with the Shangwan family. "Third head Yuchi, you're helping Yiqing Luo and being so overbearing. Are you trying to bully the Shangwan family?" Housekeeper Shangwan gritted his teeth. He stood out in a hurry just to show his loyalty in front of the Shangwan family. Shangguan Luli was the darling of the Shangguan family. Especially after Shangguan Luli's strength had undergone an earth-shattering change, the Shangguan family doted on Shangguan Luli even more. Moreover, he had already found out. The patriarch of the Shangguan family had the intention to pass the position to Shangguan Luli. Now, Shangguan Luli was being insulted. Housekeeper Shangguan naturally defended her. Unexpectedly, he was attacked by various forces instead. And even dragged the Shangguan family into the vortex of rumors. Housekeeper Shangguan was completely anxious. He absolutely could not let the Shangguan family's reputation be tarnished. He absolutely could not let the Shangguan family become the target of public criticism. I'm overbearing. Third head Yuchi laughed even more cheerfully. He stood up directly. His big belly and bloated body didn't affect his agility at all. In just a few steps, he had already returned to the Yuchi family's area of influence. His gaze fixed on the waiting area for the masters. If not, we can ask the Master of Intermediate Profound Class 2 to explain. Before this, what level was 5th Miss Shangguan's profound grade? The Master of Intermediate Profound Class 2, who was called, immediately stood up. Facing the countless gazes thrown at him. He was sweating profusely and after a while, he said with a dry throat, "Yesterday before we set off, I specially checked all the students' school badges, Shangguan. Student Shangguan's profound grade shows Earth profound grade. And before that?" Third head Yuchi continued to ask. The master of second class sweated even more fiercely, Mystic. Mystic profound grade 5. Third head Yuchi did not continue to question and gently let the master of second class sit down. Soon after, he turned his head around and looked at the sea of people in the area of the various forces. He smiled warmly, 5th level of the profound realm. Soaring to the earth profound realm in one leap. Moreover, in the short span of a day, advancing 6 levels in succession. He clicked his tongue and said, "It seems that the 5th Miss of the Shangguan family is a rare genius that only appears once in 1,000 years. From the 5th stage of the profound mystic realm, he advanced to the profound earth realm. It would take at least half a year, and at most, 8 to 10 years. In Shangguan Liuli's case, it was as if she could rise to the earth profound realm in a matter of minutes. As for the ranks after the earth profound realm, the process of advancing a rank was even more difficult than the process of breaking through from the profound realm to the earth profound realm. Not to mention, in the blink of an eye, it rose 5 ranks, and then another. Such an existence. He was even more of a genius than the genius profounders. Even the students of the class of gods would not be able to do this. The representative of the Shangguan family immediately blushed. How could he refute it? Coincidentally, the dean, who had been silent all this while, slowly stood up. That dignified gaze burned like a torch. His tall and sturdy body was trembling slowly. Great! What a good intermediate profound class 2, what a good Shangguan Liuli. He flew into a rage, but suppressed it and maintained the demeanor of the dean. Seeing that the dean had spoken, the various forces immediately stopped their discussions. After all, this was the Heavenly Academy's class competition. This was also a student of the Heavenly Academy. He knew that Shangguan Liuli's profound rank had risen abnormally, but he did not report to the higher-ups about Shangguan Liuli's abnormality, harboring the intention of shielding her. From now on, your headmaster's title token will be revoked and you will never be a headmaster again. The teacher of Class 2's words were completely stuck in his throat. His face was ashen as he sat down in a daze. Revoke the headmaster's position badge. Never to be a headmaster again. This punishment was too cruel, principal. The teacher of the second class uttered in a trembling voice. He had been teaching in the academy for decades. Even if he had not made any contributions, he had put in a lot of effort. However, the dean did not hesitate to uproot everything. Not even giving him a chance to live. The Heavenly Academy is absolutely open and fair. If something like this happens again, this dean will definitely not let it off lightly. With that, the headmaster cupped his fists and bowed deeply in the direction of the headmaster. Without another word, he turned and left the West Lawn Square. The headmaster of the general courtyard did not blame him for his behavior. After all, in front of so many people, the Heavenly Academy that had always scored full marks and had won the title of Best Academy for several times consecutively. This time, the negative comments came one after another. Chapter 1165. Yi-Ching Luo kept her feather fan lazily. With a bored look, she yawned. Then she stretched her body lazily. She didn't bother about the messy scene, Shangguan Luli who was dead or alive, and directly returned to devil class's area. Too weak, it's like cutting cabbages, so boring. Yi-Ching Luo leisurely walked to Long Yunzhan, as she ridiculed. Her voice wasn't soft. The crowd in the front row could still hear it. Immediately, the crowd gave a thumbs up once again. A big word of admiration to Yi-Ching Luo. Yun Duan coughed lightly. The preliminary round was full of surprises, but today's competition has finally come to an end. At this moment, the crowd's attention obviously couldn't be focused on the competition. Today's matter, if it was to be settled, it would be very tricky. Yun Duan immediately announced, the preliminary round's winner class is Devil Class. Congratulations to Devil Class for entering the finals. After the announcement, he said a few more words. And directly announced the end of the preliminary round. Very quickly, the Academy's guards carried the few intermediate profound Class 2 students who were lying in the ruins. Finally, they carried Shangguan Luli away. Housekeeper Shangguan, at this moment, didn't dare to say a word. He watched helplessly as the guards carried away his fifth Mississippi. Then he led a bunch of Shangguan powerful people back to the Shangguan family with his tail between his legs, to inform the Shangguan family head about this matter. Alright, dismissed, go back and rest. Yi-Ching Luo waved her hand, indicating for everyone to support the injured back to the dormitory. She skipped back to Dmo Xian's side, raised her head, looked at the smooth lines under the golden mask, her charming eyes curved. How was my performance? He lowered his eyes. The dazzling peach blossom eyes, through the mask, could still scorch her heart. Yi-Ching Luo's face turned slightly red, as her hands tightened. Nonsense. Dmo Xian spat out the words softly. His slender fingers poked Yi-Ching Luo's forehead, and immediately pinched her delicate nose bridge. So arrogant, aren't you afraid of angering Shangguan Luli, forcing her to release the real profound yin qi? By then the one who will be at a disadvantage will be you. Yi-Ching Luo struggled from being pinched, just based on that kind of waste, and she wants to release the real profound yin qi. Ah Xian, you think too highly of her. He was enraged. The darkness in Shangguan Liuli's heart would only be grasped by the dark forces, as well as her unreasonable hatred and resentment. Then, he would listen to the temptation of the dark forces and choose to sacrifice himself in exchange for greater power. He would never understand. He made use of the dark forces' mysterious yin energy to fight against the wind. What's more, a Xian is here, I'm not afraid. Yi-Ching Luo smiled elegantly and rested her head on Dmo Xian's shoulder. Dmo Xian released her nose in satisfaction, his long and narrow peach blossom eyes were gleaming. Apparently Yi-Ching Luo's words had successfully pleased him. The victorious group left the battlefield in a grandiose manner, heading straight for the direction of the dormitory. All the powerhouses were full of goodwill towards the devil class. One by one, they seized the opportunity to step forward and extend their olive branches. They were all sent away by Yi-Ching Luo with a smile. The crowd surged. Zhu Wuxin, who was originally sitting on the Shangguan clan's side, had already retreated into the crowd. His cold and indifferent eyes stared unblinkingly at the petite figure surrounded by the crowd. Her red clothes fluttered like fire. In this world, she was the only one who could suppress such a heavy and oppressive red robe. Chapter 1166. What do you think of her? His thin lips opened slightly, and an emotionless voice spilled out from his lips. Behind him, an illusory figure that seemed to have blended into the air was faintly discernible. Castle Lord, this subordinate feels that this woman is extremely hot-tempered. She's too arrogant, conceited, and wild. She's not easy to control. Zhu Wuxin was silent for a moment. After a while, he nodded slightly and said, "Indeed." The current Yi Qing Luo had a strong character, totally different from the past her. Arrogant, egotistical, seemed to have become synonyms for Yi Qing Luo. That was a phrase that was tailor-made for Yi Qing Luo. But, the illusory figure paused, seemingly probing Zhu Wuxian's emotions. Her arrogance is not hateful. Instead, I feel that she was born to be like this. After answering, the illusory figure half-knelt on the ground. After a long time, Zhu Wuxin's voice did not ring out. Zhu Wuxin retracted his gaze. The darkness in his eyes became even thicker. That's right, Yi Qing Luo's insolence could not incite anyone's disgust. She was born strong. They were born to stand at the peak and look down on the rest of the world. But, it's not like that. His Yi Qing Luo, it shouldn't be like this. Zhu Wuxin closed his eyes tightly, not willing to let this strange emotion disturb his heart. Devil class's complete victory caused the devil class to be on fire. These were the students who were once despised by everyone, the students who were called trash. Before Yi Qing Luo could rush over, they had consecutively won 2 matches. Although the process was a bit despicable. But the result was still satisfactory. Before Yi Qing Luo rushed over, no matter how tough it was, or how heavily injured he was, he still refused to admit defeat without any hesitation. This kind of firm belief. Even those profound practitioners who had experienced many battles might not be able to achieve this. Devil class had conquered everyone not only because of Yi Qing Luo's ability and the spirit of the other students. Yi Qing Luo looked at the room filled with delicacies, but no one touched their chopsticks, as each and every one of the students were drinking excitedly, as her lips curled into a faint smile. After joking around with them for a while, Yi Qing Luo made an excuse to check on Yi Fengyu's injuries and left the celebration banquet with Dmo Xian. Just as he was about to leave the restaurant and head for the dormitory, but she was held by Dmo Xian as he pulled her to another private room. Compared to the liveliness of the devil class's room, this huge private room seemed exceptionally quiet. Yi Qing Luo was just about to open her mouth when she suddenly discovered a tall figure sitting on the seat in the private room. Then, Xian. That person, wasn't he Supreme Mo? Yi Qing Luo immediately turned her head to look at the person beside her, and then looked at Senior Mo, who was seated not too far away. This was the method that Dmo Xian mentioned? Without being detected by the headquarters or the dark forces, he was Supreme Mo's method. Using a fake, Supreme Mo, to place her here, the Supreme Mo would directly go and save her. No matter who it was, they would not think that Senior Mo and Dmo Xian were the same person. Ah Feng, how's the situation? Dmo Xian pulled Yi Qing Luo's little hand and pulled her to the side to sit. This Supreme Mo was Ah Feng in disguise. Ah Feng shook his head slowly. I'm afraid the HQ doesn't plan to interfere with the dark forces. That bunch of old fools. The dark forces didn't cause trouble for them, so they don't care. Dmo Xian's inky black eyes narrowed slightly, then create a small accident, to let them take note of the dark forces. Ah Feng cupped his fist in the other hand, yes. What headquarters? You intend to let the headquarters take action to investigate Heavenly Academy? Yi Qing Luo was slightly dazed from what she heard. Dmo Xian glanced sideways, the chilliness in his eyes had already faded. Chapter 1167. Dark Forces and Heavenly Academies matters should have been settled by Yiqing Luo personally. A self-reliant lady like Yiqing Luo refused to rely on others. Dmo Xian knew about it. But he intervened. He also told Yiqing Luo openly. The Dark Forces have tried to kill you time and time again. I can't remain indifferent. Dmo Xian's voice was slightly apologetic. The hand that was caressing Yiqing Luo's fine black hair also paused slightly. Yiqing Luo's eyelashes fluttered as she closed his wide palm. I know, your motive is to investigate the Heavenly Academy, but for me, you intentionally gave up on the Academy's investigation. As intelligent as she was, how could she not see through Dmo Xian's intention and motive? Would a venerable sovereign deliberately disguise himself as Senior Mo and sneak into the headquarters? It must be related to the Heavenly Academy. Dmo Xian was stunned for a moment before a trace of gentleness flashed past his brows. His long arm scooped and brought Yiqing Luo into his embrace as his chin rested on her shoulder. Lil Luo, you have indeed won my heart. Dmo Xian sighed faintly. Yes, I used revered Mo's identity to infiltrate the headquarters, in order to get close to the Heavenly Academy's director, to find out the reason for the disappearance of the Heavenly Academy's students. The Heavenly Academy is the best academy over the years and should be the role model for all the other academies. But unfortunately, there are more than 15 missing students in the Heavenly Academy every year, and there is no news leaked out. Yiqing Luo raised her head. Her eyes flickered as she looked at him. You also know about the disappearance of the Heavenly Academy students. I naturally wouldn't know about this kind of thing, but it just so happened that one of the missing students was the disciple of the Emperor Palace's disciple. I felt that this matter was fishy, so I investigated it. Students had gone missing, young profound practitioner students had gone missing. If it was just one or two of them, Dmo Xian would not think too much about it. However, there were at least 15 of them every year, and this went on for several years without a break. That was definitely abnormal. There were many secret arts and magical arts that required the blood of young profound practitioners. Dmo Xian was unable to ascertain the Heavenly Academy's conspiracy, what kind of secret technique was needed or what kind of conspiracy was achieved. The only thing he could be sure of was, if the Heavenly Academy's conspiracy were to come true, the entire Nirvana realm would probably undergo a huge change. As the palace master of the #1 imperial palace in the Nirvana realm, he was respectfully addressed as Lord Dizun and was revered by everyone. Dmo Xian was also extremely protective. The missing student was related to the imperial palace. Dmo Xian naturally snuck into the main courtyard. Now that we know that the principal of the Heavenly Academy is colluding with the Dark Forces and using the souls of the students as a sacrifice for the King of Darkness to break the seal, what do you intend to do? Yiqing Luo pursed her lips tightly. The things that the Dark Forces were involved in were no longer just her personal grudges. If Dmo Xian were to intervene, it would be within reason. She would not stubbornly refuse to rely on Dmo Xian, nor would she go against the Dark Forces to the death. I need evidence. Dmo Xian's slender fingers drew across her tightly pursed lips, forcefully prying open her lips. Now we can confirm one thing, the Dark Forces are extremely interested in this profound heart jade of yours, towards you as a person. It is very likely that you are the key to unlocking the King of Darkness seal. Yiqing Luo's pupils suddenly widened. She also forgot to bite the finger that was pressed against her lips. She stared at Dmo Xian in a daze, as her heart shook. She knew that the Dark Forces wanted to get their hands on her profound heart jade. But she had never thought of the reason why the Dark Forces kept on harassing her, getting close to her and making a move on the people around her. It was because... Chapter 1168. That's just a guess. Dmo Xian lowered his head as he gently kissed her forehead. Don't think too much. Yiqing Luo snuggled into his arms as her arms circled around his firm waist. No matter if I'm the key or not, the profound heart jade in my body, as well as me, is extremely useful to the King of Darkness. Dmo Xian tightened his grip on her slender waist. I'm here. Just 3 simple words made Yiqing Luo's heart feel a sense of stability. Yiqing Luo's lips curled as she cupped Dmo Xian's face as her dimples blossomed. Ah Xian, don't worry. I will not give the dark forces any chance to get the profound heart jade. This competition, I will definitely win. The two of them looked at each other with tender and sweet feelings. Wind, who was sitting stiffly by the side, bore Supreme Mo's elegant face with a gloomy expression. Until his gaze made Yiqing Luo feel uncomfortable. Yiqing Luo then recalled that there was another Wind in the private room. She awkwardly moved away from Dmo Xian's arms as she coughed lightly. She had just moved when the long arm around her waist suddenly increased its strength. Yiqing Luo staggered as she fell into the man's arms behind her. Yiqing Luo's face flushed slightly as her little hand patted Dmo Xian's hand lightly. What else is there? Dmo Xian's large palm caught hold of her moving little hand. His slender fingertips gently scratched the center of her palm. Yiqing Luo's face turned even redder as she stared at the man angrily. Wind turned a blind eye to their flirting as he answered Dmo Xian's question. The overlord met with an attack in his dormitory. The imperial palace's disciples have already intervened. Yiqing Luo was slightly stunned when she heard that. She glanced sideways at the man who was hugging her waist and playing with her little hand. The imperial palace's disciples intervened. Dmo Xian's thin lips curled slightly as he held her little hand and brought it to his lips. I said before, I will destroy. Wolf. Saint. Force. Yiqing Luo's eyes flashed. Those sparkling eyes made her heart beat non-stop with a thump-thump sound. For her, to destroy Wolf Saint's forces. For her, to provoke the dark forces before she was clear of the dark forces' true power. Just for her. Since Wolf Saint Dharma dared to send people to kill us in the dormitory, he's naturally prepared to become enemies with the imperial palace. Dmo Xian looked at the little woman whose eyes were filled with emotions and his lips curled into a magnificent smile. He naturally has to pay the price for his own actions. The Wolf Saint Fa's heart was filled with fear because of Dmo Xian's words. Thinking of striking first to gain the upper hand, he sent Wolf Saint's protectors to surround Yiqing Luo and Dmo Xian, attempting to make them die in the dormitory. But he had never thought that, over 100 dark protectors were no match for the two of them. Instead, it gave Dmo Xian an open and above-board reason to annihilate Wolf Saint's forces. As Lord Dizun, everything he did attracted the attention of all forces. No matter what you do, you need a reason. The Wolf Saint Law took the initiative to send a reason to Dmo Xian. The opportunity could not be missed, and it would not come again. The Overlord was attacked by the dark forces in his dormitory. Such a reason was enough for Dmo Xian to annihilate Wolf Saint's forces. Dmo Xian, the strongest person in the Nirvana realm, was the legend of the Nirvana realm. Dmo Xian was attacked by the dark forces. Wasn't this a blatant slap on the Nirvana realm's face? Then you must be careful. Yiqing Luo didn't stop Dmo Xian's actions. If this matter blew up, it would make the various forces in the Nirvana realm unable to tolerate the arrogance of the dark forces. Everyone would have the same thought, look, the dark forces even dared to attack our overlord. Chapter 1169. If it wasn't for the hundreds of dark guardians who blocked her and Dmo Xian's path, Long Yun Zhan and the rest wouldn't have to suffer so much on the arena. The dark forces would never be able to experience that. When Kitty Lee followed her scent and found her way to the dormitory, she told her about the situation on the arena. How furious she was in her heart. How vexed. How unresigned. These emotions were tormenting her bit by bit. Those cold-hearted people from the dark forces would never understand her feelings. All along, it was the dark forces who led them by their noses. This time round, they would let Dmo Xian start the first battle. It was time to retaliate. Shangguan residence. The meeting hall was filled with dead silence. Shangguan family's patriarch stood beside the main seat and a middle-aged man stood beside him with a broken teacup by his feet, swaying slightly. The entire meeting hall was filled with people kneeling on the ground. The one at the front was a woman dressed in luxurious clothes, sobbing as though she was about to stop breathing. Beside that woman was a wooden pole. The person lying on it was Shangguan Liuli, who was covered with wounds and blood. Shangguan Liuli's legs had been crushed and her entire body was covered with Yiqing Luo's profound qi and the actual beating, causing her external and internal injuries to be extremely serious. Lying on the wooden pole, she didn't even have the energy to move. Master. This competition was obviously done by that slut Yiqing Luo. It has nothing to do with our Liuli. The woman cried and screamed at the middle-aged man. This woman was Shangguan Liuli's biological mother, the second wife of the Shangguan family, Madame Li. Shangguan family's patriarch banged the table fiercely. Death is at hand and you still don't know how to repent. After banging the table, he couldn't suppress the anger in his heart. Listening to Madame Li's crying voice, frustration welled up in his heart. He raised his leg and gave Madame Li a hard kick. Madame Li was in a daze from the kick. The sharp pain in her chest made her react. She immediately screamed and cried till the sky darkened. Master. How can you be so heartless? Liuli had spent so much effort in this competition, you should know better than anyone else. Just lost a competition and Master actually treated your own biological daughter in this way. Liuli's injuries are so serious. Master, are you really going to let Liuli continue to suffer? She questioned him with a sobbing tone. It was as if she was about to put on a show of crying, making a fuss, and threatening to hang herself. The master of the Shangguan clan's face turned gloomy. Soon after, he quickly rushed in front of Madame Li and grabbed her by the collar. Little woman, you don't know the seriousness of this matter. Father, Shangguan Liuli, who was lying on the wooden pole, weakly called out to the Shangguan family master. That pale little face was stained with blood. His turbid eyes were powerless to open. When the head of the Shangguan clan heard the voice, he loosened his grip on Madame Li's collar. His gaze was complicated and pained. He had doted on and protected Shangguan Liuli for so many years. Furthermore, she was his own daughter. How could he not be heartbroken to see her like this? But, this time, Shangguan Liuli had made a huge mistake. Liuli, you've really disappointed me. Do you know that because of you, because of your vanity, the Shangguan family has been completely destroyed? Losing the match didn't matter. A 16-year-old girl. Even if she lost, there were still endless possibilities in the future. But... Chapter 1170. Colluding with the dark forces, using her own soul to obtain the dark secret skill and raise the profound level. This matter. Not only did Shangguan Liuli do whatever it takes to win the interclass competition. It completely turned into, the entire Shangguan family had become the nest of the dark forces. And you useless thing. Master of Shangguan furiously pinched his eyebrows and kicked Butler Shangguan. I asked you to be the representative of Shangguan family and this is how you solve an emergency. Master of Shangguan's informant had already told him the ins and outs of today's matter. He was clear about Butler Shangguan's magnificent feat today. Now, he could not wait to strangle Butler Shangguan to death. He had completely ruined the reputation of the Shangguan family. It was Butler Shangguan's godly assistance that allowed Shangguan family to be involved with the dark forces. Master. Butler Shangguan fiercely hit the ground. He painfully frowned. Master of Shangguan, spare me, spare me, spare me. I will naturally spare your worthless life. Master of Shangguan gritted his teeth. Letting you die is too easy for you. Butler Shangwan's face instantly turned ashen. Shangwan Liuli, who was lying on the wooden pole, was also frightened by Master of Shangwan's anger and kept coughing. The blood on her body dripped onto the ground drop by drop. She was in so much pain that tears flew out. "Father, I was wrong. I shouldn't have colluded with the dark forces, I shouldn't have been possessed," Shangwan Liuli cried in a low voice. Was this the taste of death? So desperate, so lonely. No, she did not want to die. Shangwan Liuli knew that she could only admit her mistake and use her father's love for her to beg for his forgiveness. As long as the injuries on her body were healed, she would definitely have a chance to make a comeback. She still had a chance to make a comeback. Master of Shangwan family did not respond to Shangwan Liuli's crying. He squinted his cold eagle eyes and stared at his daughter coldly, until Shangwan Liuli's choked sobs gradually turned into fear. He then slowly walked to the wooden pole and bent down with a cold expression on his face. "I want to meet the master of the dark forces, can you arrange it?" Master of Shangwan family lowered his voice when he asked the last question. It seemed that as long as Shangwan Liuli shook her head, he would break Shangwan Liuli's neck without hesitation. He would never be soft-hearted just because she was his daughter. Shangwan Liuli would never give up her only chance to live. She moved her head painfully and nodded with difficulty. "I can. Daddy, I can't." By the time Yiqing Luo and Dmo Xian stood at the entrance of the private room, they saw at least 40 over of the 60 over devil class students, lying drunk on the table or on the ground. There were more than 10 people, although they were not drunk to the point of collapsing on the ground. However, he could no longer remain clear-headed. On the other hand, Long Yunzhan, who was sitting in the middle, had a clear look in his eyes. It was like a unique lotus blossoming amidst the wine fragrance. "Qing Luo." Long Yunzhan stood up and looked at the students lying on the ground. They were too happy and drank too much. "I'm afraid it's more than 1 cup." Yiqing Luo's lips twitched helplessly as she looked at the ground full of corpses. She didn't even have a place to land her feet when she walked into the private room. Long Yunzhan shook his head helplessly. "Since we've won the preliminary round, they don't need to take part in tomorrow's semifinals. So what if they're drunk? It's a rare occasion." Yiqing Luo had no intention to blame them. She brought them to the biggest restaurant in the West Square and booked a private room to set up a celebratory banquet, so that everyone could relax. Chapter 1171. Let's return to the dormitory later. There are so many people and we can't carry them over. If she summoned Shiju and Chi-Chi and brought them back one by one, the Western continent's topic would change from the Heavenly Academy's interclass competition to the magical beast scene. They had just won the preliminary round. Everything was still low-key. Low-key. After a day of competition, Long Yunzhan was already exhausted. These students probably wouldn't wake up anytime soon. Yiqing Luo let Long Yunzhan rest here while she and Dmo Xian went to the cabin next door to rest. Long Yunzhan said he was resting, but in actual fact, he needed to observe these drunk students if they would suddenly throw a fit. As for Yiqing Luo, she was really nestled in Dmo Xian's arms and fell into a deep sleep. Early in the morning, she battled with Wolf Saint Law in order to save Yi Fengyu. After that, she battled with hundreds of dark guardians. Following that, she went up the stage to fight with Shangwan Luli. Yiqing Luo was after all a human and her mortal body was already exhausted. Dmo Xian looked at the young lady in his arms who was breathing smoothly as his brows overflowed with tenderness and warmth. His slender fingers gently caressed the young lady's cheek. His chest suddenly felt a warm feeling. Dmo Xian frowned as he carefully shifted her body. He saw a ball of white light flickering at Yiqing Luo's heart. The scorching feeling was transmitted from her heart. At the same time, Yiqing Luo's bracelet on her wrist slowly floated, like pieces of flower petals. Dmo Xian's obsidian-like black eyes flashed slightly. He grabbed her wrist and his fingertips brushed past that cherry blossom petal. The red light formed a boundary and bounced him out. Dmo Xian narrowed his eyes as he recalled the azure dew bracelet spirit which he had met once before. He retracted his hand and embraced Yiqing Luo in his arms again as he sighed helplessly. This lass, she was still so desperate. Even when she was tired, she still extracted her spiritual consciousness and entered the azure dew bracelet. She didn't forget to cultivate even when she was resting. She was indeed very Luo. If Yiqing Luo, who was in the azure dew bracelet, knew of Dmo Xian's thoughts, she would definitely cover her face and cry out in injustice. This time, it wasn't her fault. It was old man Tsang who had forcefully summoned her into the azure dew bracelet. The physically and mentally exhausted Yiqing Luo really didn't have the mood to follow old man Tsang to cultivate. She opened her mouth and yawned. Old man Tsang, why are you looking for me? Old man Tsang's spiritual body floated to her side and looked around. After confirming that she wasn't seriously injured, he retracted his gaze. Seeing the fatigue in Yiqing Luo's eyes, he didn't beat around the bush. Regarding the matter of the profound yin qi entering your body some time ago, do you still remember it? Yiqing Luo's petite body trembled when she heard that. Her eyes, which were filled with fatigue, suddenly became clear. Have you found out the reason? Old man Tsang shook his head. Your internal organs, limbs, and bones are all very clean. There is no aura of mysterious yin qi. No aura of mysterious yin qi. Yiqing Luo narrowed her eyes and opened up her palm to take a look. Profound yin qi can only control me once. What's the purpose? She had always thought that the dark forces wanted to play the same trick again. He wanted to manipulate her to hurt his own brother. Then when he regretted for life, he would grab hold of the darkness in her heart and use it as a lure to make her hand over the profound heart jade. Because that time, the dark force's actions were discovered by the Overlord and he knew that you were vigilant, so... No. Chapter 1172. But even if I did not intentionally suppress my profound grade, I did not feel the existence of profound yin qi. That time when she was controlled by the profound yin qi. It was because of the confrontation with the dark force's assassins. At the same time, to test the strength of the earth profound fourth grade. After that, she was stimulated by the dark force's assassins with fresh blood, which unknowingly awakened the profound yin qi hidden in her body. Old man Tsang and Dmo Xian had warned her. She tried her best to stabilize her profound grade below earth profound fourth grade. But today on the stage, she had already released all her strength. Facing Shengguan Luli, she was indeed not worried. She could use the true power of Earth Profound 6th grade. But the 6th level of the Earth Profound realm was not fake after all. If Yiqing Luo did not use Earth Profound 4th grade power to resist, she would not be able to escape under Shengguan Luli's pressure. I also feel strange. Old man Tsang stared at Yiqing Luo suspiciously. Earth Profound 4th grade profound energy. You have released it to the extreme today, but I still did not detect any abnormality on you. You have seen a lot of fresh blood on Shengguan Luli, but there is still no abnormality. Both conditions were met. But Yiqing Luo was not blackened by the profound yin qi. What was going on? Could it be that they were overthinking? We cannot relax our vigilance, the dark force's insidiousness. We have all seen it. Yiqing Luo did not feel that things were that simple, nor could she let her guard down. If the dark forces really used her, the other brothers would definitely be like Qiao Jin, who was obsessed with sex. They would not make a move on her. She was not willing to let the dark forces have their way. She could only try her best to avoid this matter from happening. An Luo lass. Old man Tsang's face was solemn. You promise me, unless it is a matter of life and death, do not casually use the Purgatory Tower's secret arts. Yiqing Luo was stunned. She immediately recalled Wolf Saint Fa's desire for the thunder crash arts in the underground tunnel. She pursed her lips and nodded, I understand. Quite a few people recognized him with a single teleportation. Another thunder crash arts was recognized by Wolf Saint Fa. The rewards in the Purgatory Tower. What was he hiding? If you want to practice teleportation or the Thunderclap manual, you can enter the first and second floors of the Purgatory Tower to practice. You can also practice in the spiritual Qi treasured land. Old Man Song's faintly discernible hand gently covered Yiqing Luo's head. Apparently, he didn't intend to respond to Yiqing Luo's doubts. He only said with a helpless tone, wait until you grow to the point where you have the ability to protect the Azure Dew bracelet and the Purgatory Tower. Then, you can reveal the Purgatory Tower's secret technique. He paused for a moment and the palm which was rubbing Yiqing Luo's hair also stopped. Lass, can you promise me? She didn't know why, but Yiqing Luo actually heard the undetectable sorrow in Old Man Song's tone. She knew that Old Man Song was hiding many secrets. If Old Man Song didn't say it, it must be for her own good. Because, it was exactly as Old Man Song had said. Right now, she did not have the ability to know those things. Even if he knew everything, he couldn't change the current situation. She only needed to believe that all of Old Man Song's decisions were for her sake and for her own good. Emin, I understand. Yiqing Luo's lips curled into a smile. Old Man Song stroked her hair again. All right, go and rest. After the competition ends, I will teach you how to display a stronger thunder crash arts. Chapter 1173. Night had fallen. The stars twinkled and a crescent moon gave off a weak glow as it shone onto the ground. In the dead of the night, the streets were quiet. Yiqing Luo and the rest were wandering in the night, unaffected by the cold moonlight as their emotions were still soaring. At this moment, each of the students were carrying a few wine jars in their hands. Along the way, they left a trail of fragrance. Yiqing Luo, this bunch of drunkards reincarnated? Although she ridiculed in this way. But Yiqing Luo didn't stop these students' excitement. She naturally understood what these students were excited about. In the past 10 over years, these students were all from various large families, various forces or ordinary families who looked down on them. They were trash who could fight and scold. Their innate talent in cultivating the profound grade was not good enough, their intellect was not good enough and their ability was not good enough. No matter where they went, they would be disdained and ridiculed by those self-proclaimed geniuses. Humiliation, bullying, things which made them lose all their face, they had all suffered it before. Even if they relied on their own strength, tried hard to prove themselves and entered the Heavenly Academy. But they still couldn't get those people's recognition. They were allocated to the Heavenly Academy's trash class, devil class. Suffering various students' ridicule and humiliation. This kind of life had never changed. This time, this battle made them stand in front of everyone again, so that they could openly show off their abilities. They used their own spirit, their own ability, to gain the recognition of various forces. They were not trash. They could finally raise their heads high. No one would ever look down on them again. Because they were the devil class. From the restaurant back to the mansion, they had to pass by the back mountain foot of the mansion. In the middle of the night, they passed by the back mountain foot. The chilly wind blew and it felt like a gust of chilly wind. If one were to ask why they returned to the mansion in the middle of the night. Because Yiqing Luo nestled in Dmo Xian's arms and fell into a deep sleep. In an instant, she slept till the middle of the night. Dmo Xian just hugged her like that, not moving for several hours, but didn't wake her up. Yiqing Luo was rather helpless. They were students who were going to take part in the competition, so it was not right to not return at night. Immediately, he rushed to the private room next door and kicked all the students in the room up. Dmo Xian still had to deal with the attack on his dormitory, as well as devising an open and above-board plan to destroy Wolf Saint's forces, so he left first. The group of devil class immediately rushed towards the dormitory. And these people didn't forget to continue drinking wine from the wine jars before they left. Along the way, there was laughter and chatter, and the atmosphere was quite pleasant. After making a detour around the foot of the mountain breeze blew over, and Zhang Xian could vaguely smell a strange scent in the air. Yiqing Luo's expression congealed. Almost instinctively, her fingertips moved and the glowing flame fan stirred up a hurricane, enveloping all the devil class students within it. The hurricane directly cut off the strange aura coming from the air. Qing Luo. Long Yunzhan immediately moved and walked to Yiqing Luo's side, leaning back to back with her as he surveyed the surroundings vigilantly. Be careful. Yiqing Luo opened her mouth calmly, as she turned back and took a look at the bunch of drunken youngsters. Sense how many people the other party has, this bunch of stinky brats, I'm afraid they have no way to battle. Long Yunzhan nodded lightly. He narrowed his blue eyes and released his perception. Yiqing Luo also took the opportunity to take out a handful of medicinal powder from the profound phoenix ring. As the glowing flame fan waved, that medicinal powder directly swept over every single youngster's face. Chapter 1174. Yiqing Luo then kept her glower flame fan. After the hurricane dissipated, the strange smell that permeated the surrounding air grew even denser. There are about 300 people coming, and there are 2 earth profound practitioners among them. Long Yunzhan opened his eyes. 300 people. Yiqing Luo frowned. He actually spent so much money. Were they from the dark forces? No. Before the competition, the 100 dark guardians sent by the Wolf Saint Law had already died in Dmo Xian's hands. To the dark forces, this was a huge loss. Especially now that the Imperial Palace had gotten involved with the dark forces. The dark forces would never have the energy to trouble her again. Not waiting for Yiqing Luo to think carefully. From all directions, people dressed in black martial arts attire had already surged forward. In an instant, it surrounded the 60-odd people in devil class. Devil class, hand over your life. A furious berating was heard and one of the black-robed men wielding a huge axe directly chopped down towards Yiqing Luo's direction. That move had clearly released all the power in his body. This voice, Butler Shengwan. That's right. This voice was none other than Butler Shengwan's. At the end of the competition, Butler Shengwan confronted her. Yiqing Luo remembered this voice. These people were from the Shengwan family. It was obvious that they had been lying in ambush for a long time. Yiqing Luo, do you really think that you can be arrogant and complacent just because you won against our 5th miss? Butler Shengwan saw that he had been discovered and simply couldn't be bothered to cover his face. He directly tore off the black cloth on his face and sneered, "Tonight, I will avenge our 5th miss. For the Shengwan family." Butler Shengwan snickered. His eyes were filled with unconcealable hatred. It was this girl. It was her who had caused him to fall from his position as a steward to a slave who had signed a death contract. She was the one who caused Shengwan Liuli to be banished to the cold courtyard from the position of the future head of the Shengwan family. No one cared about her. She had destroyed his idea of cozying up to Shengwan Liuli. It also made him completely understand. It turned out that he had hugged the wrong leg. It was her who had caused the Shengwan family to suffer from rumors and slanders. He even asked the other families to join hands and forcefully search the Shengwan family. Except for Shengwan Liuli's courtyard. There was no aura of the dark forces in the entire Shengwan mansion. However, they still managed to find a lot of rare items from the Shangguan mansion. Furthermore, there were some rare items that belonged to other aristocratic families. Immediately, another storm was set off. This action was obviously a humiliation to the Shangguan family. Now, the Shangguan family had become a family that anyone could humiliate. If he didn't kill Yiqing Luo, how would he vent his anger? Butler Shangguan, this is the mountain behind the dormitory. If you use your profound energy to attack me, then it will attract the attention of the academy and they will rush over. Yiqing Luo's eyes were curved, but she couldn't conceal her chilly intent. Your Shangguan family's record of humiliation has added another stroke. You! Butler Shangguan gnashed his teeth in anger. Murderous aura wandered wantonly in his eyes. A barrier has already been set up all around. None of you can escape. No one could enter. I'd like to see if it'll be those old fogies from the academy rushing over, or if we'll kill all of you first. As soon as he finished speaking, the surrounding 300 over Shangguan family's men pounced towards Yiqing Luo's direction. The pitch-black sky was faintly covered with a layer of blood color. It covered the bright moon in the sky. A few dim stars flickered weakly. Chapter 1175. Yiqing Luo's eyes narrowed slightly. The long and narrow arc, under the chilly moonlight, revealed a bone-chilling intent. She smiled as the glower flame fan in her hands, in the next instance, set off a ray of red glow. That bewitching red glow, in the dark night. It looked extremely strange. If one didn't look closely, it looked like a ball of raging fire, forming a ring of fire in mid-air, surrounding Devil Class's group of students who were lying unsteadily. Those Shangguan family's people who were rushing over, immediately stopped in their tracks. Butler Shangguan's eyes revealed an ominous glint, as the huge axe directly chopped onto that red glow. What are you all in a daze for? A bunch of little trash who haven't even grown their hair yet. What's there to be afraid of? Go! Go! The huge axe collided with the red glow. A ray of red lightning flowed along the huge axe. In an instant, it corroded Butler Shangguan. Butler Shangguan cried out miserably, as he and his axe flew out directly, crashing heavily onto the ground. The mountain breeze continued to blow. Not knowing when the cold air had been covered by the bloodthirsty aura. Perhaps it was because the mountain breeze was too chilly. Butler Shangguan inexplicably felt a chill in his heart, as well as his spine. Just as he was about to concentrate, to see clearly where this feeling came from. After that, he heard a sweet laughter that revealed dense coldness, and it approached from afar. That's true, we've set up an enchantment, so no one can enter, and no one can leave. Butler Shangguan's face turned black. What did her words mean? Very quickly, Yiqing Luo used her actions to directly express the meaning in her words. Only to see that red glow sweeping wildly, as terrifying energy, as though it was going to flip the heavens and earth. An unprecedented strong aura floated in the surroundings. Brothers, are you all trash? Yiqing Luo's cold voice, sonorous and forceful. No. Although they were drunk, but everyone instinctively responded in unison. Brothers, if someone wants to kill all of you in front of you, what will you do? Yiqing Luo asked again. Kill. Without any hesitation, the reply instantly ignited the group of drunken students' battle intent. Then do what you want to do. Yiqing Luo shifted to the side, as her voice carried an irresistible force. Long Yun Zhan frowned and said in a low voice, they are all so drunk, can they do it? The person is intoxicated, but the heart is not. Yiqing Luo smiled. In their hearts, Devil Class, the world group, is their sense of belonging. If someone wanted to destroy the belonging in their hearts, their body's instinct would drive their consciousness to join the battle. Yiqing Luo's words had just landed. At this moment, the profound energy of those students who could not even walk steadily suddenly increased explosively. Butler Shengwan, who was sitting on the floor, immediately opened his mouth wide. The rest of the Shengwan family also stared at the drunken students in disbelief. Streams of powerful profound chi soared into the sky. The bodies of those trash that they looked down upon were glowing with a mysterious light. Mystic profound 7th grade. Mystic profound 8th grade. What the hell? There was even a mystic profound level 9. Amongst these trash, most of them were actually profound practitioners above the 5th grade of the mystic profound realm. Furthermore, there were at least a dozen or so profound practitioners above the 7th grade of the mystic profound realm. The people of the Shengwan family were completely stunned. This is impossible. This group of students were as cowardly as dogs on the arena during the day. How could they possibly reach the mystic profound 7th or 8th grade in such a short time? You all have also colluded with the dark forces. Butler Shengwan was so shocked that his mouth was agape. He raised his hand and pointed shakily at the group of students who were still releasing their profound energy. Right. That's right. They must have colluded with the dark forces. Chapter 1176. You bunch of bitches. How dare you collude with the dark forces and betray my 5th miss? Butler Shengwan gritted his teeth and roared. In just a few short hours, how could a group of wretched and battered trash on the arena become so powerful? Don't think of everyone as deplorable as Shengwan Liuli. For the sake of so-called power, they obliterated their own humanity and sold their own souls. Yiqing Luo's lips twitched in disdain. Dark forces are not qualified for us to collude with. Pausing slightly, her lips curled up as she looked to her side. Zhan, Jin, Zi. The two of them immediately came back to their senses, and at the same time, checked their profound rank in the study. 2nd grade of Earth Profound Realm. Earth Profound 7th grade. Wait a minute, Earth Profound 7th grade. Devil class has a 7th grade Earth Profound Realm student? A class that everyone thought was trash. A 7th grade Earth Profound Realm expert actually appeared. Furthermore, this expert was the youth who had been injured by Shengwan Liuli in the arena today. Earth Profound 7th grade. What kind of profound rank was that? In the entire Western continent, there was no one who surpassed the 5th grade of the Earth Profound Realm. They could be counted on one hand. A 7th grade Earth Profound Realm Xian practitioner had actually appeared. No wonder Yiqing Luo and the others dared to be so arrogant. Zhan. Yiqing Luo squinted her eyes. This powerful profound energy caused her profound heart jade to faintly emit heat. She covered her chest with her fingers and narrowed her eyes as she stared deeply at Long Yunzhan. A ball of blue light faintly appeared on Long Yunzhan's chest. Blue. It was actually the profound heart blue jade. It was a blue-grade profound heart jade. The profound jade heart was the source of a profound practitioner's power. It was divided into 8 grades: scarlet, orange, yellow, green, cyan, indigo, and violet. The lower the grade, the stronger the power of the profound heart jade. A profound practitioner's own profound strength, profound rank and so on would all be strengthened because of this. Long Yunzhan actually had a profound blue heart jade. And his profound rank had actually reached the peak of the 7th level. Too scary. Renlong's true strength was simply too shocking. When the people of the Shengwan clan saw Long Yunzhan, who was at the 7th level of the Earth Profound Realm, each and every one of them wanted to escape. One had to know, a 7th grade Earth Profound Xian practitioner had the ability to fight against 100 people alone. In addition, there was another Earth Profound 4th grade Yiqing Luo. They would definitely suffer heavy casualties. Steady. Don't panic. Housekeeper Shangwan himself was trembling, and his voice was trembling as well. However, he forced himself to hold on and spoke sternly to calm everyone down. We have 300 people, but there are only 2 people who can fight. Kill those drunken brats first. Now, they absolutely could not retreat. There was no room for retreat. Because even they themselves were unable to break through this barrier. If they weren't able to destroy the devil class and capture Yiqing Luo, they would be trapped here for all eternity. There was only one way they could go. That was, exterminate the entire devil class. Capture Yiqing Luo. This thought had just surfaced in his mind. Filled with battle intent, he was about to call out to the Shangwan family's men to split apart Yiqing Luo's hurricane and directly launch an attack. What happened next made them even more flabbergasted. Those drunken students in devil class looked as though they were walking on flimsy steps, trash that could be easily chopped into 2 with a casual slash. One by one, their profound grades rose explosively. The entire rear mountain forest surged with an extremely terrifying energy. Surging like a tide, the airwaves rolled and roared, as though it was about to explode. The strong hurricane that was set off was like a tornado, blowing the entire rear mountain. Chapter 1177. Guan, Guan. Am I dreaming? My eyes must be playing tricks on me, right? How could this be possible? This bunch of trash, how could they possibly have such powerful strength? Right. We must be dreaming. The people from the Shangwan clan stared at the aggressive students in front of them in disbelief. They couldn't believe it. This bunch of students were obviously trash. Each and every one of them only knew how to use the power of profound qi. It was obvious that this group of trash was being chased around the arena and was covered in wounds by Shangwan Liuli. How could this bunch of trash possibly? How could they possibly become so powerful? The lowest profound grade was actually at mystic profound 6th grade realm. Their hearts suddenly trembled. Dumbstruck, the Shangwan family's men almost fainted. What the? This was too heaven-defying. A bunch of trash had turned into geniuses. This was simply the biggest joke in the world. Brothers, let's annihilate our devil class's disrespectful enemies. Yiqing Luo's voice was filled with ruthlessness and iciness. Her words had just landed. The drunken students behind him had already rushed forward like a swarm of bees. Just as what Yiqing Luo said. Although they were drunk, their hearts weren't. Their bodies' instincts had replaced everything. Kill. Blindly kill. Kill all these people who dared to hurt their brothers. Butler Shangwan finally realized how dumb he was. He couldn't tell the changes in devil class's students and even argued with third head Yuchi. Now, he personally felt the power of devil class's students and felt Yiqing Luo's power. Turning around, he wanted to make use of the chaos to escape. Just as he got out of the crowd, his figure flashed towards the dead tree in the dark. Boom! A huge explosion sound was heard and a deep pit exploded right beside Butler Shangwan's feet. Smoke and dust curled up and the remnant profound energy was still faintly floating. Just one step. Just one step away. If earlier, Butler Shangwan had taken another step forward, the one who was blasted into a deep pit would be him. Butler Shangwan still had a lingering fear in his heart. He shivered as he looked in the direction of the attack. The red-clothed girl smiled sweetly and waved her red fan lightly. Housekeeper Shangwan, are you planning to escape by yourself and leave all these profound practitioners here? When the students who were filled with fear heard this, their faces immediately darkened. Pairs of angry eyes looked at the Shangwan family's butler. He caught a glimpse of the Shangwan family steward, who was actually outside of the crowd, beside a withered tree. The people from the Shangwan clan immediately understood. If it wasn't for Yiqing Luo's profound qi that stopped Butler Shangwan, Butler Shangwan had obviously escaped from here, even though the back mountain had been sealed by the barrier. But he had been hiding in the dark, avoiding Yiqing Luo and the others. By the time Yiqing Luo and the others thought of a way to undo the enchantment, it wasn't impossible for him to seize the opportunity to escape. Thinking of this, the faces of the Shangwan family members turned ashen, and their faces were filled with rage. Chamberlain Shangwan, these profound practitioners were all brought here by you. Shouldn't you be responsible for them? She stopped waving her fan, placed it under her chin, and began to fan the flames. You slut! Butler Shangwan looked at those people from the Shangwan family, as all of them revealed a vengeful expression. As for Yiqing Luo, she was still standing by the side, smiling charmingly, with a peerless beauty. It made her even more breathtaking. Butler Shangwan lay on the ground, motionless. Blood was still flowing out. He could feel the dizziness and pain of blood loss. But unfortunately, not knowing what Yiqing Luo did to him, his consciousness became clearer and clearer. From the initial shock, to seeing the people from the Shangwan family dying tragically under the feet of the devil class, to the final numbness. There was no feeling. There was no feeling at all. Looking at those young and immature faces, it was obvious that they were drunk. But they were fighting a bloody battle. The red uniform, mixed with the fresh blood, was extremely glaring. On their faces, there was no fear of killing, no shock of killing. Chapter 1179. Those youths were drunk and unconscious. They were only moving based on their instincts. Then, what about Yiqing Luo? She was obviously conscious. But facing such a large-scale massacre, how could she remain so calm? A 15-year-old young lady. Merely a 15-year-old young lady. Facing such a bloody massacre scene, there was no fluctuation of emotions. As though she was already used to such scenes. This knowledge caused Butler Shangwan's heart to suddenly tighten. Until now, he finally knew clearly. He had offended a malefic star that he shouldn't have. This bunch of youngsters in devil class were simply a bunch of perverts, a bunch of terrifying perverts. But unfortunately, this knowledge could not make him turn back. A dead man's mouth was the tightest. Butler Shangwan and these people from Shangwan family. All of them would shut their mouths forever for devil class's secret. The ground was filled with blood and corpses. Yiqing Luo and the rest were already used to this thick blood stench as they didn't show any signs of discomfort. In this vicious battle, those originally drunk students started to sober up one by one. Seeing the ground filled with blood, as well as their own bodies, hands, and even their brothers' faces which were covered in blood. Very quickly, they understood what had happened. Madam Qing Luo. Aren't we very powerful? We killed so many people? We're simply too awesome. We were so drunk, but we still managed to kill all 400 of them. I worship myself too much. How could we be so powerful? The students' faces were filled with joy as they didn't care about their disheveled state as they directly surrounded Yiqing Luo. That expression of seeking for praise, seeking for appreciation and seeking for recognition made Yiqing Luo laugh. Long Yunzhan, Qiao Jin and the rest stood by the side as they wiped off the blood stains on their hands while shaking their heads helplessly. Indeed, letting Qing Luo guide the students is the right choice. Look. This bunch of abnormal students. Yan Xiao Yi coughed lightly. Actually, I want to say, I don't know this bunch of people. Mo Yuing nodded expressionlessly. After the laughter, Yiqing Luo looked at the sky. It was probably almost 5:00 in the morning. Not long later, everyone would be waking up. If they stayed here any longer, those students or masters would discover the hundreds of corpses from Shangwan family. Not to mention the fact that they would be detained and expose the true strength of the devil class students. Most importantly, these people were all from the Shangwan family. To die in the hands of their devil class, the people from the Shangwan family would definitely not let this matter rest. The current devil class still possessed the ability to clash with the large clans. She was not afraid of anything. But if the other party were to attack the other students in the dark, it was just like kidnapping Yi Fengyu. She would definitely be restrained. Yi Qing Luo cleared her throat and clapped her hands. All right, the surroundings have been set up with an enchantment barrier. Let's find the base of the enchantment first before thinking of a way to break it. She had just tested it. There was no way to forcibly break the barrier by using profound qi. Furthermore, this spirit formation gave off an extremely familiar feeling. At this moment, she didn't have time to think about it. If he wanted to break the spirit formation, he would have to first find the foundation of the spirit formation. Then, he would have to find a way to break the spirit formation. More than 60 people were divided into 11 groups of 6. Every group had a class committee member. Whereas for Yi Qing Luo's group, because Yan Xiao Yi was injured on the arena stage, Yi Qing Luo directly brought her along. Chapter 1180. After searching for an entire 1 hour, the sky had already started to turn white. 11 teams had yet to find the base of the barrier. They were unable to leave the entire rear mountain. But they weren't able to find the base of the barrier. Seeing that time was running out, Yi Qing Luo's heart was getting more and more anxious. 2 consecutive times, she had suffered a loss in the barrier. She had decided. After leaving the rear mountain, she must obtain the secret manual to set up the barrier and break the barrier from Dmo Xian or Old Man Tsang. Boss Qing Luo, the sky is already bright. Today is the semi-finals for the other classes, so they will definitely come to the rear mountain for their morning training. What kind of damn barrier is this? We can't even break it forcefully. Shangwan family intentionally wants to seal us in the rear mountain? The students' emotions started to get restless. They were all clear that if they were discovered, the rear mountain waste would be littered with corpses and devil classes students would be standing beside those corpses. How serious the consequences would be. Perhaps. Shangwan family originally had this idea in mind. If they died, they would forcefully drag devil class down with them. As long as devil class lost their lives during the competition period, they would definitely be forcefully disqualified from the competition. Yi Qing Luo's brows creased tightly as she shot a glance at Long Yun Zhan and lowered her voice. Ah Zhan, Earth Profound 7th grade profound energy is unable to break the barrier, but if combined with Qi, can it be? One was a human dragon. The other was a sacred beast. If the 2 powers were combined, perhaps they could forcefully break the barrier. Long Yun Zhan nodded calmly. We can give it a try. Yi Qing Luo was about to summon Qi. Suddenly, the rear mountain waste started to shake. The ground beneath their feet started to crack. Devil classes students' expressions congealed as they instinctively stuck together as they stared vigilantly at the surroundings. But they saw. The transparent and invisible barrier that had trapped them in the back mountain for more than an hour was now covered by a lustrous white radiance. Following that barrier suddenly disappeared. A student tried to walk out of the position which was obstructed earlier. Without any obstruction, he directly passed through the rear mountain and walked forward for another 10 over steps. There was no obstruction at all. That barrier had really disappeared. The student turned his head as he excitedly wanted to tell Yi Qing Luo. But before he could say anything, he saw a jade-green figure was walking towards Yi Qing Luo. She was graceful. Her posture was elegant and gentle. Her long hair was like flowing clouds, and it was a delicate young lady's hair, pinned with an exquisite hairpin. Chapter 1181. Feng Ling's hand had just held on to Yi Qing Luo when Yi Qing Luo pulled it away. Not to mention the scene she saw in the illusion, it made Yi Qing Luo have a natural hostility towards Feng Ling. Let's talk about how he first met wind chimes in the tunnel. Yi Qing Luo was very clear that this woman absolutely adored Dmo Xian from the bottom of her heart. Moreover, this woman was definitely not as gentle and tranquil as she appeared on the surface. Especially, her words were full of loopholes. Yi Qing Luo's lips curled up as she gave a distant smile. There's no need for an apology. Sister Qing Luo. Feng Ling's smile froze as she awkwardly retracted her frozen hand. She bit her lower lip and looked at Yi Qing Luo innocently. He looked extremely aggrieved. If there were others around, they would probably think that Yi Qing Luo was bullying this delicate and weak little beauty. However, there was no one else on the mountainside. Miss Feng. Yi Qing Luo interrupted Feng Ling's words as she looked at her with a smile which didn't look like a smile. Ever since we came out from the underground tunnel, Xian had always been with me. May I ask, Miss Feng, when did you hear about the matter between Xian and me? Yi Qing Luo couldn't be bothered to waste any more time on her when she saw that she still wanted to act like a Saint Mother White Lotus until it bloomed. He immediately seized the loophole in Wind Chime's words to shut her up. The barrier was still broken, so they had to leave this place immediately. The morning exercise students would be here soon. At that time, they were in big trouble. Yi Qing Luo led the devil class's students, as they walked past the corpses, towards the direction of the dormitory. However, Yi Qing Luo had obviously underestimated Feng Ling's shamelessness. Windling did not show the slightest bit of embarrassment because her lie was exposed. On the contrary, she quickly chased up to Yi Qing Luo's footsteps as her voice was gentle and delicate. Sister Qing Luo, I'm sorry. I'm really sorry, Brother D and I are just ordinary siblings, I just don't wish for you to misunderstand. She chased after him very quickly. Yi Qing Luo, who was walking ahead, suddenly stopped in her tracks. Feng Ling bumped into Yi Qing Luo's back, staggered and hurriedly retreated a few steps. He lowered his head submissively, looking as if he had been humiliated and wronged. Yi Qing Luo slowly turned around as she squinted her eyes slightly, and the sharp glint in her eyes fell onto Feng Ling. Her smile was extremely shallow, with a tinge of coldness. Miss Feng, you can be at ease, the relationship between you and Xian. I will absolutely not have any misunderstanding, do you know why? Feng Ling was stunned, her clear eyes stared at Yi Qing Luo in a daze, her eyes filled with astonishment. Because, Yi Qing Luo's smile deepened. That smile was enchanting, elegant, and beautiful. Even for Feng Ling, this smile tugged at a string in her heart. The gentle and tranquil expression on her face completely froze. I don't care about you at all. His words struck Wind Chime's eardrums. From the start, he did not put her in his eyes at all. Everything that he had done, in Yi Qing Luo's eyes, was just a joke. No, impossible. She was Brother D's most beloved Shaoling. She was the woman closest to Brother D. Yi Qing Luo wanted to snatch Brother D from her. How could he not put her in his eyes? Wasn't Yi Qing Luo's biggest love rival her? Her inner heart was unable to calm down. Feng Ling's expression was steely green, as she clenched her fists tightly. Her jade-green sleeves, because of the strength from her fingertips, were folded into creases. Miss Feng, before you want to sow discord between Xian and me, you'd better do some investigation first. Yi Qing Luo slightly bent down, as she leaned towards her ear, as she laughed softly. Chapter 1182. Feng Ling's face turned as white as a sheet. Her frail body swayed slightly. After some time, her legs gave way and she fell onto the ground. Her gentle and exquisite face could no longer maintain her gentleness. Yiqing Luo had never bothered about those unimportant people. Leading the group of people from devil class, she left without even turning her head back. The mountain breeze was still blowing. The stench of blood was extremely thick. Feng Ling didn't seem to feel the blood around her. His entire person had sunk into extreme rage. A strong hatred was burning in her heart. Why? Yiqing Luo was totally unaffected by her. Why did she want Yiqing Luo to doubt Dmo Xian and cause a quarrel between them? But Yiqing Luo didn't care at all. She was too confident in Dmo Xian. Or was she too confident in herself? No. Impossible. Grandma said before, any woman, as long as she was a woman, would have a strong possessive heart. Women were the most jealous existences. As long as the people and things that they treasured were being spied on by others, they would definitely lose all rationality and forcefully take back the people or things that belonged to them. How could Yiqing Luo not be affected by her? She didn't even put her in her eyes. She gripped her jade-colored sleeves tightly as her eyes were filled with ruthlessness, filled with murderous intent. She must kill Yiqing Luo. Definitely. Miss Feng. Behind her, a cold voice was heard. Feng Ling didn't turn back, her expression was ruthless as she gritted her teeth and said, "All right, I agree to cooperate with you, as long as leave Yiqing Luo that slut to me." No problem. The gloomy voice laughed coldly. Following that black-robed man walked closer and stood behind Feng Ling. A piece of red cloth the size of a palm landed beside Feng Ling. The cloth fluttered with the wind. Above it floated half a cherry blossom. Feng Ling grabbed that cloth tightly as she was so exasperated that she wanted to tear that cloth. This thing can be put to good use. A cold smile, with a treacherous plot. After returning to the dormitory, the group of people got drunk again and had another big battle. Returning to their respective rooms, they uniformly fell onto the bed and fell into a deep sleep. Yiqing Luo no longer felt sleepy. Her mind was filled with Feng Ling's innocent face. Of course, this was not because Feng Ling's words made her feel a sense of danger. After being together with Dmo Xian for a period of time, how would Yiqing Luo not know his character? Since Dmo Xian said so, it had nothing to do with Feng Ling naturally, it had nothing to do with him. She did not take Feng Ling seriously at all. What she was thinking about was the reason why wind chimes appeared at the mountainside at the back of the mountain. It was just the hour of the tiger, and wind chimes was already at the mountainside at the back. He even removed the barrier and took the initiative to express his goodwill. Yiqing Luo absolutely did not believe that Feng Ling just happened to pass by. The aura of that barrier. She felt very familiar. Until the appearance of Feng Ling, Yiqing Luo finally understood that spirit formation's aura was extremely similar to the spirit formation formed by the Earth Wolf Saint technique. It was the dark forces that had established the barrier for Butler Shangguan and the others. In other words, the Shangguan family was very likely to be investigated by the various superpowers because of her questioning of the Shangguan family. It was to the extent that he had no choice but to cooperate with the dark forces, which solidified his infamy. And Feng Ling's appearance at this moment. There was also a possibility that, because of Dmo Xian, the dark forces had caught hold of a gap. Yiqing Luo's slender brows instantly creased tightly. Chapter 1183. Feng Ling was the granddaughter of the underground palace's old granny. She grew up in the imperial palace and was one of them. Feng Ling and the dark forces were involved. Which meant that the imperial palace was also involved with the dark forces. And now, Dmo Xian was on bad terms with the dark forces because of Wolf Saint's assassination. If at this time, Feng Ling placed the imperial palace's future in the dark forces' hands, it would definitely be a huge problem for Dmo Xian. And it was a problem that was hard to solve. This Feng Ling. Was she really that stupid? Yi Qing Luo was deeply worried. It was better to find a chance to tell Dmo Xian about her guess, so that Dmo Xian would at least be prepared for it. She stretched her waist. Since she couldn't sleep, she might as well go into the Azure Dew bracelet to raise her strength. Not knowing how long had passed, Yi Qing Luo could vaguely hear a clamor coming from the outside world. She retracted her spiritual consciousness and opened her eyes. She saw a black shadow floating outside her room door. Only to hear an angry dispute outside, "Get out of my way. Otherwise I will shred you into pieces right now." Shangguan Great Master, Qing Luo is resting in the room. "If there's anything, we can talk on the stage tomorrow. Today is devil class's free time." Long Yunzhan's cold voice was neither servile nor overbearing. Hearing the few words, "First Master Shangguan," Yi Qing Luo's heart instantly sunk. Shangguan family's people? Looking for her? Could it be? The matter at the back of the mountain had been discovered. Was it Feng Ling who leaked the secret? Yi Qing Luo's slender brows creased slightly as she got up from the bed. Her slender fingers casually fiddled with her fine black hair as she opened the room door. He saw a man with a strong body, like a bull, grabbing Qiao Jin's collar. Behind him were 10 over Shangguan family's guards. Beside Qiao Jin were 10 over devil class's students, each of them shouting angrily, asking him to let go of Qiao Jin. Apparently, they had been arguing for a long time. Seeing Yi Qing Luo appear, that wild bull man shook off Qiao Jin and strode towards Yi Qing Luo's direction. Stretching out that pair of arms which were thicker than Yi Qing Luo's entire body, he directly grabbed Yi Qing Luo. "Slut. You actually made a move on Shangguan family's people." Yi Qing Luo squinted her eyes. The man's strength was extremely great. When he swung his hand over, it stirred up a strong airflow. However, that thick and solid arm grabbed onto Yi Qing Luo, but grabbed onto thin air. The barbarian bull man's face was ashen. He followed the aura in anger and punched the side of his body. Unexpectedly, the man felt a dull pain in his abdomen, and his 2-meter-tall body was actually forced to take a few steps back. His face instantly darkened. He clutched his stomach and glared fiercely at the person who injured him. Her red dress fluttered like a blooming rose. Yi Qing Luo stood lazily by the side, her body leaning softly on Yan Xiaoyi's shoulder. She covered her mouth with her slender fingers and yawned without a care for her image. "Head Shangguan, you came looking for me so aggressively early in the morning. Could it be that you lost the semifinals again?" Just as she finished speaking, she saw a furry little head burrowing into her bosom. Kitty Lee's little hand circled around Yi Qing Luo's slender waist. "Sister, Intermediate Profound Class 2's qualification for the competition has already been disqualified by the director. So in today's semi-finals, there's no Intermediate Profound Class 2. Her expression was innocent and pure. Her bright eyes were like luminous pearls, flickering with a trace of craftiness. Chapter 1184. You. Shangguan Great Master's face was filled with rage, that extremely ferocious face was sinister and terrifying. These two young ladies echoed each other, obviously purposely ridiculing the Shangguan family. Ridiculing them for being disqualified from the competition by the Heavenly Academy. Ridiculing them as a complete joke. New hatred and old hatred made the anger in Shangguan Great Master's eyes burn even more vigorously. Yi Qing Luo seemed as though she didn't see his furious expression as she calmly caressed Kitty Lee's little head. Intermediate Profound Class 2 disqualification is merely Shangguan Liuli reaping the consequences of his own actions. What has it got to do with me? Isn't it a little far-fetched for Shangguan Great Master to look for me? Are you still acting dumb? Shangguan Great Master stretched out his arm once again, stirring up an intense burst of profound energy as the surrounding air shook apart. Yiqing Luo raised her brows. This raging bull still hadn't learned to be smart. She sneered as she swiftly moved a few steps forward. His figure appeared behind the great head Shengwan. She raised her leg and gave a fierce kick towards his knees. A crack sound was heard. Shengwan Great Master's tall body staggered a few steps and finally couldn't endure the pain as he knelt heavily onto the ground. That kneeling sound was earth-shattering. Everyone who heard this sound couldn't help but touch their own knees. Ah! A miserable shriek was heard from Shengwan Great Master's mouth. Beads of cold sweat rolled down from his forehead. Slut! What have you done to our Great Master? Shengwan family's guards all rushed forward as they surrounded Shengwan Great Master. A few of them immediately went to support Shengwan Great Master. Yiqing Luo's smile was like a flower as her charming eyes circulated with an enchanting splendor. I was merely defending myself and didn't violate the Heavenly Academy's rules. Twice in a row, the head of Shengwan was kicked by a young girl who looked so small, and then his kneecap was directly broken. Shengwan Great Master finally understood why 5th Miss hated this young lady so much. Because this young lady was simply too hateful. Yiqing Luo, you massacred my Shengwan family's 340 people. And today you spoke rudely to me and insulted me. I have the right to send you to the main courtyard. Your devil class is disqualified from the competition. The first head Shengwan endured the sharp pain in his knees and roared while gnashing his teeth. At this moment, he couldn't even stand steadily. His eyes were scarlet red as he clenched his fists tightly, as though he wanted to punch Yiqing Luo's face, which was filled with ridicule, into two halves. As expected, the Shengwan family had already discovered the corpses on the back of the mountain. However, how could the Shengwan family place her as their first suspect? Devil class was known to be a trash class. How could a bunch of trash students defeat 340 profound practitioners from the Shengwan clan? It was impossible no matter how he thought about it. Why did head Shengwan still look for her? He couldn't figure out where the great leader got the news from. Yiqing Luo remained expressionless. Massacre? I only defeated Shengwan Liuli yesterday. Is that considered a massacre? Moreover, 340 people. Are you sure I have the ability to massacre your Shengwan family's 340 people? Yiqing Luo looked at him with a, "Are you sick?" expression and immediately rolled her eyes. Great Master Shengwan, if you want to slander me, then find a better reason. Who would believe you if you say it out like this? Shengwan's face turned red. Shengwan Great Master's chest was bullied by Yiqing Luo's words as he flew into a rage. He struggled to pounce towards Yiqing Luo's direction. Chapter 1185. The guards understood it very well. If Great Master Shengwan were to strike Yiqing Luo again, it wouldn't just be his knee that was broken. Both parties were in a deadlock. Two elders from the main courtyard hurried over. One of them was Supreme Mo, who was disguised as Wind. The minute the two elders came over, Great Master Shengwan gritted his teeth and swiftly recounted the earlier situation to the Great Elder. The main courtyard's elder had just rushed over from the West Square as his white brows creased tightly. "Student Yi, what else do you have to say?" Yiqing Luo laughed lightly. "Elder, don't tell me you also believe that my devil class is able to slaughter his Shengwan family's 300 over people." She smiled, and her eyes instantly became cold. Her voice also turned icy cold at this moment. "You want me to admit that your Shengwan family's people were killed by my devil class? Good. For example, my devil class's students, even if they are as powerful as the high profound class, with just 60 over people, to be able to slaughter Shengwan family's 300 over people, then your Shengwan family is really weak. I don't know where you have the face to be called as one of the 4 great profound families." "Great Master Shengwan, I merely exposed the matter of you colluding with the dark forces yesterday and you're targeting me like this. Trying to push all the blame onto our devil class. A disdainful tone, a ridiculing smile, a mocking gaze. It made the fury in Great Master Shengwan's heart explode at this moment. Yi Qing Luo, you slut. Since you dare to do it, then bear the consequences. Don't intentionally drag the topic into other things. Great Master Shengwan turned his head and looked at the main courtyard's elder as he pointed at his knees. Elder, Yi Qing is really too stubborn and mischievous. Relying on the fact that he had won the preliminary round, he became unbridled and didn't put the competition's rules in his eyes. He even injured this master. Yi Qing Luo smiled sweetly when she heard that. That's right, since she dared to do it, she must bear the consequences. If you don't want others to know, then don't do it. Since your Shengwan family dared to collude with the dark forces, then you must bear the consequences of being found out. Blaming everything on me, a young girl, your Shengwan family's face is really big. Her words were sonorous and forceful, with righteous words. Every word and sentence was spat out clearly. It was clearly transmitted into everyone's eardrums. The faces of the Shengwan family members turned pale. Whereas when the main courtyard elder heard Yi Qing Luo's words, he indeed believed what she said. Early this morning, when they discovered the corpses of hundreds of Shengwan clansmen on the mountainside, everyone was shocked. They were all guessing which deity the Shengwan family had offended to have so many of their people killed without anyone noticing. But after all, it didn't happen to him. The onlookers also didn't think much of it. After today's semi-finals began, only a few teachers and elders were left behind to guard the place. Everyone else had participated in today's semi-finals. The elders of the headquarters did not want to take over such an arduous and unrewarding task. However, the Shengwan clan's first head insisted on making a ruckus in the dormitory and even started fighting with the students in the dormitory. No matter what, it was time for the head elder to come back. The chief dean elder was annoyed. Especially after hearing Yi Qing Luo's words, they felt that First Master Shengwan was being unreasonable, pushing everything onto the devil class's head. Chapter 1186. Evidence. First Master Shengwan's gaze was ferocious as he fished out something from his bosom and threw it at Yi Qing Luo's face. If there's no evidence, how would Shengwan family be so sure that this slut did it? That thing was the size of a palm and along with the strength in First Master's hand. Coincidentally, it landed right in front of Yi Qing Luo. Yi Qing Luo raised her hand and caught that thing. A piece of red cloth. After seeing the cloth clearly, Yi Qing Luo's pupils contracted slightly. But the expression on her face was still calm. First Master Shengwan, who was waiting for Yi Qing Luo's pale face, had not even had the chance to laugh out loud. Only to see Yi Qing Luo's charming eyes looking at him. Her pink lips curled up into a teasing arc, tisk. So Great Master rushed over to my place early in the morning and pinned the blame of those people who were massacred on my devil class, just to attract my attention. Ha! First Master Shengwan was stunned. What was this slut saying? Yi Qing Luo covered her mouth as she pretended to be shy and averted her gaze. First Master Shengwan actually admires me so much. In order to let me take another look at you, you've really put in a lot of effort. First Master Shengwan was completely stunned. The Shengwan guardians, the devil class students, and the two elders from the main courtyard, were all dumbfounded. After some time, First Master Shengwan regained his senses. That terrifying malevolent rough man's face turned steely green and then flushed red. With an embarrassed look, he clenched his fists tightly. Little slut. What rubbish are you sprouting? How could I possibly admire a young lass like you who hasn't even grown out her pubic hair? Don't look at Yi Qing Luo's bashful look. But that expression, where was there any shyness? Those words she said, where was there any hint of a lady's modesty? Not to mention that he had no feelings towards Yi Qing Luo. Even if he did, she was a lady, an unmarried lady. Saying such narcissistic and shameless words. Was that right? First Master Shangwan's face flushed red as he faced the peculiar gazes from the crowd, and his heart was filled with rage. But he heard Yiqing Luo continuing to laugh. So eldest master likes this kind of thing, liking young lasses who haven't even grown out their hair. Around them, the devil class students could not help but burst out in laughter. This laughter immediately lit up a chord in head Shangwan's mind. He clenched his teeth, putting on a humiliated look as he broke free from the few guards who were dumbstruck by Yiqing Luo's words, as he dashed towards her direction. Little bitch. I'll tear your mouth apart. That thick and solid palm tore towards Yiqing Luo's mouth. Yiqing Luo shook his head helplessly. A brute would always be a brute. Even though he was hurt and crippled, he still didn't learn his lesson. She glanced at the two elders of the General Institute who had ugly expressions on their faces. He didn't use the slogan of self-defense to retaliate in front of the two elders. Moreover, one of these two elders was Ah Feng, who was disguised as Supreme Mo. It was obvious that Ah Feng had a problem with her. If the lady beside Dmo Xian could be chosen by him. Yiqing Luo believed that Ah Feng would absolutely not hesitate to choose Feng Ling, and not her. Hence, Yiqing Luo didn't expect Ah Feng to help her. However, the other head elder would definitely not allow anyone to cause trouble in front of him. As expected. Just as First Master Shangwan's hand was about to get close to Yiqing Luo, the elder who was originally standing 5 steps away from them, was already standing in front of Yiqing Luo. Chapter 1187. Eldest Master, since you have the intention to settle the matter, then don't get physical and let others see your Shangwan family as a joke. Eldest Master represented the Shangwan family's image. To hit someone over a disagreement, moreover it was against a 15-year-old young lady. It really damaged the Shangwan family's prestige. Following that, the main elder's gaze shot towards Yiqing Luo. Student Yi, what is that thing in your hand? Yiqing Luo popped out her little head from behind the main elder. Her sly eyes blinked as she revealed a sweet smile. She looked like an innocent and naive young lady. If it wasn't for the fact that she had seen Yiqing Luo's ferocious look when she defeated Shangwan Luli on the stage yesterday, those present would probably be cheated by Yiqing Luo's look. Yiqing Luo raised the cloth in her hand and waved, "This is the cloth for my class uniform." Saying that, she took the initiative to put that piece of cloth at the cuff of her sleeves. That piece of cloth matched perfectly with Yiqing Luo's cuff. After yesterday's competition, I discovered that my cuff is missing a piece. I didn't expect it to be in Eldest Master's hands. Eldest Master even hid my cloth in your bosom. Yiqing Luo passed that piece of cloth back to Great Master Shangwan. I'm really sorry, I'm not interested in you. A man with this kind of image. Moreover, our age difference is just too huge. My father is younger than you. That careful look, thinking of how to reject, made one feel tender towards her. I am indebted to Eldest Master's love, but unfortunately, I am unable to give you any response. Now in front of the two elders. Since Eldest Master likes this piece of cloth so much, I shall gift it to you. There was not a single flaw in her words. She even took the opportunity to explain that she gifted this piece of cloth to an admirer who was older than her father, was entirely on account of the two elders. When the main elder saw that, he shook his head helplessly. Eldest Master, since Student Yi has already made things very clear, don't be so persistent, don't ruin the Shangwan family's reputation, again and again. Speaking of this, the main elder's heart was extremely impatient. For such a trivial matter, he had specially rushed back to the dormitory. Adding on to the fact that Shangwan Luli cheated in public, and possibly colluded with the dark forces. The chief institute elder's impression of the Shangwan family was getting worse and worse. He furrowed his white brows and looked towards Supreme Mo, who had been silent all this while. Supreme Mo, let's return to the plaza. No. That's not it. This bitch is lying. First Master Shengwan had not expected things to take such a turn just because of a few sentences from Yiqing Luo. He had taken out all the evidence. But with just a few words from Yiqing Luo, she managed to evade it cleanly. Instead, Yiqing Luo labeled him as a pedophile and pervert. That cloth was found halfway up the mountain. First Master Shengwan gritted his teeth as he bellowed, "Our Shengwan family's 340 people were all massacred at the back of the mountain, and Yiqing Luo, that slut's cloth, was found there. If you say that the death of Shengwan family's 340 people has nothing to do with Yiqing Luo, I absolutely don't believe it." The main elder's brows creased even tighter as his gaze looked towards Yiqing Luo, waiting for her explanation. Yiqing Luo's brows also creased as her slender brows creased slightly, as her face revealed a sullen expression. "First Master, I respect you as a senior and have tolerated you time and time again. If you continue to be so overbearing, then I can only ask the main elder to step forward." Chapter 1188. Yiqing Luo pursed her pink lips as she bowed respectfully towards the head elder. Eldest Master has been overbearing and bullying others too much. As a student participating in the competition, her mood has affected her performance, so I hope Elder can help Yiqing Luo to seek justice. Yiqing Luo's words were all within reason. The participating students were being pressured by an aristocratic family. It would indeed affect the students' condition in the competition. What the head elder was in charge of was the fairness of the competition and the students' safety. Immediately, the head elder nodded slowly. "As long as this matter has nothing to do with you, this elder will definitely seek justice for you." Yiqing Luo's expression then eased up slightly as she pursed her lips tightly and said word by word, "Yesterday after the competition ended, I discovered that my uniform was damaged, but I didn't think too much about it. After all, it's normal for one's clothes to be damaged during the competition." The head elder stroked his beard as he nodded. Yesterday's competition was extremely intense and he could still remember it clearly. The battle between the two earth-profound realms. It was understandable for the clothes to be damaged. "May I ask, after yesterday's competition, did the Shengwan family's people die at the rear mountain waste?" Yiqing Luo sneered as she asked eldest Master Shengwan. No matter how ignorant eldest Master Shengwan was, he understood the meaning behind Yiqing Luo's words. You're still quibbling. This cloth is obviously the cloth which was dropped at the rear mountain when you were massacring my Shengwan family's people. Last night. Yiqing Luo couldn't help but laughed out loud. Yesterday Devil class won the preliminary round and spent the entire day drinking and celebrating in the restaurant. They passed out drunk in the restaurant, and even when they left the restaurant, the students were still hugging their wine jugs excitedly. Our Devil class's students, when they were in a drunken stupor, just based on 60 over people, massacred your Shengwan family's 300 over cultivators. Her lips curled upwards in ridicule as her eyes were filled with ridicule. She was secretly laughing in her heart. This group of youngsters of hers were all reincarnations of drunkards. Last night when they burst forth their profound chi and started the chaotic battle, they didn't forget to seal the wine jugs properly and kept it in their spatial pocket. She wasn't worried that the Shengwan family's people would be able to find the broken pieces of the wine jugs at the scene. You. Eldest Master Shengwan was so angry that he was trembling. He was so angry that he couldn't even say a single word. If the person in question was not him. Hearing Yiqing Luo's questioning, he absolutely didn't believe that Devil class's bunch of trash could massacre the Shengwan family's 300 over people. However, he was clear about one thing. Shengwan family sent out 340 cultivators, just to intercept and kill Yiqing Luo. However, these profounders had died halfway up the mountain. Among the corpses, he discovered Yiqing Luo's uniform. In the entire devil class, only Yi Qing Luo's uniform was embroidered with cherry blossom patterns. 340 people's deaths were absolutely related to Yi Qing Luo. If eldest master still doesn't believe me, the main courtyard can send someone to the restaurant to check if our devil class had been drunk in the restaurant for several hours, and before we left, we even bought 40 over jugs of wine. Yi Qing Luo continued. Yi Qing Luo continued. The head institute's elder looked at the head Shengwan meaningfully. This is a trap. This was premeditated long ago. This cloth was really picked up from the rear mountain waist by me. Eldest Master Shengwan was completely flustered. But no matter what he said, even those Shengwan family's guards behind him who didn't know the truth, all suspected if their eldest master had intentionally pinned such a serious crime onto this young lady's head. Just as Yi Qing Luo heaved a sigh of relief and was prepared to let this matter pass. Chapter 1189. Wind. Indeed, he had a deep opinion of her. Yi Qing Luo wasn't angry as she smiled and looked at Ah Feng. In this case, then I also want to ask, how does First Master prove that this piece of cloth is picked up from the rear mountain waist? Win's face sunk. He didn't expect Yi Qing Luo to counter with such a question. Just as he was about to continue digging, he wanted to see how witty Yi Qing Luo was. Before he could open his mouth, he heard Yi Qing Luo's sweet voice with a hint of laughter. Yesterday after the competition, I was together with the Imperial Palace's overlord, and when we finally came out of the restaurant, the students were all drunk, so the overlord personally sent us back to the dormitory. Win's icy cold eyes turned cold. The hand under the white robe clenched into a fist. If Master Mo has any doubts, you can ask the overlord for confirmation, I think. The overlord is very willing to testify for me. Yi Qing Luo continued to smile. Wind. Very good, this woman dared to use the overlord to suppress him. If the overlord knew that he intentionally targeted Yi Qing Luo, he was afraid. The overlord would not hesitate to transfer him away. His heart sunk. Wind was annoyed at himself for not being able to hold it in. But the disdain towards Yi Qing Luo made him unwilling to open his mouth to her. In the end, he just turned his head away with a steely green face. When the main elder heard that this matter involved Dmo Xian, his expression changed immediately. It was just a simple matter. If they really dragged Dmo Xian into it, this matter could never be truly resolved. It would get bigger and bigger, and in the end, not only the Shengwan family would suffer, but the main courtyard as well. Eldest Master, if there's nothing else, please leave my dormitory. This is the students' dormitory, not a place for your Shengwan family to strut around. This matter, I believe the main courtyard will investigate clearly. If Eldest Master is not assured, you can follow along with the main courtyard to investigate. As long as we find a clue that is related to my devil class, I will bear all the responsibility. Yi Qing Luo's sonorous voice rang once again. Her eyes were filled with determination and her face was filled with righteousness. Since Yi Qing Luo had said so, the main courtyard naturally believed her words. Otherwise, how could Yi Qing Luo be so calm? Because of that, the elders directly sent head Shengwan and the others away. Yi Qing Luo thanked the elder, and after exchanging some conventional greetings, she sent the both of them off and left the dormitory. Qing Luo, your performance. I give full marks. Boss Qing Luo, did you see that Master Shengwan's expression? It was blacker than charcoal in a pot. Ha ha ha. I'm almost convinced. Actually, I feel that Master Shengwan has really fallen in love with our boss Qing Luo. Cheers and laughter rose and fell around him. Yi Qing Luo looked at the extremely agitated youngsters as she laughed lightly. All right, just treat this matter as if nothing had happened. Although today is our rest time, but the daily training still cannot be stopped. All of you prepare yourselves and follow Ajan out to train. You're not intending to join us? Long Yunjian heard that as he glanced sideways at Yiqing Luo. Yiqing Luo shook her head. The torn piece of clothing was destroyed by the wolf saint technique when I entered the underground tunnel to save Xiaoyu. But this piece of clothing appeared at the rear mountain waist. Long Yunjian's face sunk. You mean? Yiqing Luo raised one finger. The dark forces can lead Shengwan family to target me, borrowing Shengwan family's power to achieve some kind of goal. Chapter 1190. The appearance of the clothing material at the back of the mountain made Yiqing Luo realize. The dark forces were not affected by the arch palace and continued to surround her, thinking of ways to destroy her. The reason why the dark forces were so obsessed with her, was it only because of the profound heart jade in her body? Moreover, such frequent actions, does that mean, the King of Darkness urgently needed her profound heart jade? In other words, the seal of the King of Darkness was about to be removed. If that was the case, the world would be in chaos. Little Luo. Old man Sang's voice suddenly resounded in his mind. Did you forget about the divine artifact in the tomb of the Ling King? Right, and a divine artifact. That day in the tomb of the Ling King, the dark forces were clearly very persistent about the divine artifact, the azure water ring. There was a set of 5 vast water divine artifacts. The dark forces had gone to great lengths to obtain the azure water ring, so they would definitely be interested in the other 4 divine artifacts. This divine artifact was probably related to the King of Darkness breaking the seal. As for finding the other 4 vast water divine tools, she needed her profound jade heart to open the seal. The dark forces had always wanted her profound heart jade. He also wanted to use her profound jade heart to open the seal. The dark forces already knew the whereabouts of the other 4 divine artifacts. The azure water divine artifact belongs to you, you must protect it well. Old man Sang seemed to want to say something, but after hesitating for a while, he closed his mouth and didn't say anything else. The other 4 are at. Yiqing Luo was just about to ask about the whereabouts of the god relic when she heard Long Yunjian's voice. Qing Luo, for the interclass competition to be brought forward, is it? Against you? As a human dragon, Long Yunjian had an extremely sharp sense. In this interclass competition, the dark forces had actually injected such a strong Xian Yin Qi into Shengwan Liuli, that brainless woman with big breasts. Even the other students of Class 2 had been assimilated by the Xian Yin Qi. It was obvious that he wanted the devil class to lose. Yiqing Luo and Shengwan Liuli had made a blood oath. The price of losing was that Yiqing Luo's meridians would be completely broken and she would destroy her own profound jade heart. The dark forces used such unscrupulous methods, it was probably because of Yiqing Luo's profound heart jade. Yiqing Luo knitted her brows tightly. Feng Ling's appearance at the back of the mountain is also very strange. She would definitely not be so kind as to specially rush over to save us. That piece of cloth, could it be her? Long Yunjian heard the meaning behind Yiqing Luo's words and his expression instantly congealed. Yiqing Luo shook her head slowly. I can't be sure, but... if the cloth really belonged to her and she specially left it at the back of the mountain, then it would confirm my guess. Wind Chimes has already started working with the forces of darkness. In this case, the Imperial Palace would also be involved. I'll go look for Xian and tell him about this. This matter couldn't be dragged on and had to be told to DMO Xian as soon as possible. They would strive to make DMO Xian take precautionary measures before the dark forces made their next move. After Yiqing Luo left the dormitory, the first thing she did was to rush over to the West Continent. If he wanted to find DMO Xian, he would naturally have to ask Wind. Yiqing Luo then realized that it seemed that it was always DMO Xian who came to look for her. Moreover, no matter where she was, DMO Xian would be able to find her. And when she wanted to look for DMO Xian, she had to go through Wind. Yiqing Luo expressed that it was unfair. It was extremely unfair. When she arrived at the West Continent, the arena was in the midst of the second round of the semifinals. In today's competition, other than Devil Class and Intermediate Profound Class 2 who had been removed from the list, there were only 5 classes left to compete. And among these 5 classes, only 3 classes would be able to enter tomorrow's finals. You're tuning in to the Journey of the Soul YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.